filmmaker from a career, came from California, and I have been making short movies, commercials, I've worked on feature films, I've traveled all over, and I love what I do. So I had a few clients ask me about book trailers. It's kind of different because one of my dear friends, Jamie, is a member here. And she was telling me, Jamie Engel is a good friend, and we're in a women in film group that's local that you should check out. Anyway, it's a networking group that helps people locally, creatives get film funding and things like that. But anyway, she told me about your group and she started talking about book trailers. So it's kind of funny. It's like taking your book, you know, I had to do a little research to find out what really makes a good book trailer and how much is too much and what do we want to cover. So what I'm going to do is just give you some general information on it. Does anyone have a book trailer in here?
I got
Oh, wonderful.
every single one of my books has a trailer.
Oh, okay. That's great. Well, there's such a range. So, I mean, after this, maybe you'll go online. I have a few samples here to show you because I was really surprised at how many different creative ways people could touch upon a story and, you know, tell you a little bit about it without telling you what actually happens. Do you have a clicker for me, or should I just click it?
You want the clicker? I've got it in my hand.
Oh, you do?
You
Okay.
want to click yourself?
So, can't trust it. Okay. So anyway, so my background, I used to teach at Eastern Florida. I was the digital media teacher at the Melbourne campus. I've been editing and shooting movies for a long time. So book trailers are kind of a different thing for me. Sure. Is it this top
Point
button?
it towards my computer.
Okay.
Let's see.
Oh, you have it. Why don't you do it? You're much better. Okay, wonderful. So basically, what I came up with, you know, the whole general thing I could suggest would be, you're trying to capture something, but really it seemed like the number one thing that you want to do is figure out who the reader is. I mean, I know you probably are writing when you're putting your projects together and have an idea who that reader is, but the book trailer is really kind of geared directly towards that audience, because you're really, if you're talking to a younger audience, you don't want to use wording and phrasing that's you know, of a different generation. So it's really important. Imagery, sound, how you cut it, everything depends on who that person is. Yes, you're going to reach your existing readers, but I think also the trailer gives you an option for someone to watch this little video and on Amazon and say, wow, I think I want to read this. In lieu of donuts. Maybe you don't get the donuts, but it's a great way to introduce people to your book. And so some of the things I saw, you could get really fancy and tricky. You can spend a lot of money doing this, but it's not necessary. In my opinion, some of the things that I saw were really creative, you know, small animations, clip art, real simple stuff, but always remembering to stay true to what the book is, because you're choosing images and sound. Every time you put them together, you're saying something. You know, if you have a little girl and some loud music, you know, if you have a little girl and soft music, it says something totally different. So you're reaching people on an emotional level with these images and sound. You want to make sure that you're guiding them towards where you really want them to be. So, and also one of the other things is you want to tell them that there's a conflict here or something going on. Don't you want to know about the story, but you also don't want to tell them how it ends, because then they'll never buy the book. But that's tricky to do. So you can build suspense and then leave them going, oh, here, let me click on this link. Click, please. Can you do it from back there? Okay. So yeah, one of the things that I read 2 short articles that people are writing now in Hollywood about specifically this, and they were saying just to know that reader. You really want to make sure you're using imagery and sounds and things that are interesting to them. And you also want to highlight what the narrative is in style. Yes?
You mentioned Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
So is this their tool for book adaptations to turn books into films?
I think that, you know, my experience in working in Hollywood is that there's a different way to do everything. But I think when you have a book that you're really interested in creating a film out of, I think if you had something that would allow the people that you're going for funding for to kind of get a sense of it, you know, maybe not the whole story, but like in some of these little short pieces I'll show you, sometimes they're just like, it's a dark room and you hear some loud sounds and then you hear like a growl, like you don't even know what's gonna happen, but it's getting your attention and it's in line with what the narrative is in the book. So I think you can reach people to create bigger projects with these small trailers. But for this group, I was really looking at it like you guys have written books, and so how do you get your books out there to people who like your genre, but just have never known you? So I think this is fantastic. Amazon is requesting it now. I mean, has anybody else been requested that they give them one with their book when they submit it to Amazon? Because I spoke to a woman a couple weeks ago who they actually said, well, we want the book, but we want you to do a trailer, and we want it to look like this. So they were really specific about what they
Sounds
want.
like pipeline.
Yeah, it's tricky because, you know, as artists, we want to stay true to what our vision was originally. So I feel like the book trailer, if the person who wrote the book stays clear on it, you can, click please. There's all these things that you're going to include in it, and the writer of the book is the one who knows these things the best. So obviously who your target is, but what motivates that audience? What are they doing? What inspires them? Are these young people? Are they older? Who's reading this book? And what's going to want them to make the click? The hook, obviously, at the end of the book, you know that there's the hook there, but you're not necessarily going to give it away. You can do suggestive things with sound, as you'll see some of these samples, and imagery that's not telling the whole story, but it's letting them know that these elements are involved, whether it be religion or something. Like, you don't have to be so heavy-handed with it, is what I'm saying. You can just use simple imagery to bring things together. The length, you know, typically I'm seeing them under a minute and a half. How long is your?
20 seconds to
20
40 seconds.
Yeah, some of them are real short. Depends, I guess, really on how much you want to give away and how comfortable you are with this medium. You could hire someone to do it. You certainly could do it yourself if you felt comfortable. But really, they say that the best ones are like 30 to 60 seconds. Now, the imagery, you know, sometimes you are writing and you're creating your story with such powerful imagery. It's hard to imagine how you're going to make that right now in a 60-second video. You know, that's why I'm saying I think to be able to look at this process as another element to help your film, but it's not your film. You're not making your film, because that'll take you a long time and a lot of money and a big crew. So what you're doing is you're just creating a little teeny suggestion of it and bringing out the best things that you think the book are about. Actually, you know, a lot of people do just hire people to do these. One of the examples I'm going to show you really goes strong into like using audio and not showing you as much, but suggesting things. And I like that. I mean, I went to film school in the 90s, so I learned how to make film on film, like 16mm film. So at that point, it was all about the way that you put things together to say what you want to say. You're not telling the story, you're giving them the images, and the story's coming together for the audience, if that makes sense. Like I was saying a minute ago, the picture of the girl and the sounds and then the car crash, your brain is figuring out what's going on. That's the way you want to shoot these, more imaginative and creative versus someone walking in, delivering all the dialogue, telling you everything about, you know, we all know what bad movies look like, you know? If you turn the audio off on it, you don't know what's going on. That's how you realize that you're not on the right track, because the use of the images together is what creates the power in it. Anyway, that's what adds the dimension. That's one of my favorite words. So, and also at the end of this, you want to call to action. Here's my Amazon link. This is how you can get in touch with me. This is how, you know, other things. There's one of the trailers that I really liked, which was the man himself who wrote the book. He was like talking about his book, which is totally different style. Some of them are like reviewers, you know, quotes. You could use words on the screen. You know, you can really combine like a collage of things to do this in that quick time. And you know, our attention span's used to 60 seconds anyway. So how much can you really say in 60 seconds? You'd be surprised if you really keep your focus on what it is that you're telling them. Like, what is my book about? Okay, it's suspenseful. You know, you're not telling them the story, you're just showing them the suspense. And when they feel that, that's when they want to buy the book. So also you have to have these, the last thing, which is distribution. I hear it's wonderful to hear you guys all talking about how you know, go on social media and cross market, because it really is a big way. Somebody that reads your book is going to be on your site and going to see someone else's book. It does happen like that, and videos travel. In my experience, I have posted things and I've been surprised at how far they've traveled outside of the circle they were created for. So you just don't know. But one of my strong suggestions is that you stick with imagery instead of descriptive videos where, you know, somebody's sitting at a table and telling you something. Because most of us just check out after about 20 seconds of somebody telling us, you know. But if we see some action and some things, and our brain is trying to engage and go, what is this about? Then we're more involved in the process. Okay, so, you know, the general formula for nonfiction books really is just to set up the situation, and then what's the challenge? Just like you're writing in your book, but you're just showing that. And in my video class that I used to teach at the college, I used to tell the students about the no audio. I want you to draw 10 pictures that tell me what you want to say. I don't want anybody to say anything, because that's how you start thinking about, how do I show that this lady has been up all night and she's lost in the woods? You know, you have to say it with images, not with description or somebody walking in, you know, with a bad script and saying, hey, have you been up all night? You look terrible. I mean, sometimes it's that you have to actually imagine that that's you. You know, I've been up all night. What would I look like? Well, my hair would be all over, counter would be a mess. You know, you're showing it. So action in these sort of things should be shown. The story should be shown through the action, not through the description. Does that make sense? Anyway, it's a new way to introduce books. You know, obviously there's a problem, there's some conflict, there's something going on. But again, you don't have to say what that is. You could do the whole book trailer and have them not know what happens. Like, what is the conflict? Who is chasing that? Where are they trying to go? Like, you don't have to tell them everything, but you do have to create the interest so that they want to buy it. And the tips, you know, I think some of them, they leave you at the end with like a question, you know, what would you do? Or would you open the door? Or, you know, it makes you have more ownership in the story. Now all of a sudden you're thinking to yourself, I don't know, I would be afraid. And it's funny because one of the ones I'm going to show you is like horror, and I don't watch horror usually, but the trailer's really good. I mean, I honestly was intrigued by what they came up with. So, you know, the viewer gets familiar with where the book is. You don't have to tell them everything about it if it's a period, you know, but maybe you have, if it's, you know, an old period piece, maybe you just have one outfit, or maybe you have a song playing. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't have to be heavy-handed. It should be subtle, and it should be done through imagery so that people are like, wow, what's this? Let's look at this book. You know, and you know, you can throw in the characters and the conflict, but again, in just a little bit. There might be 50 people in your book. That doesn't mean you're going to do this. You got to scale this down and pick out some of, you know, maybe if you're thinking about doing these, you think about, right now, if there were 3 pages in your book that you think would really get people excited, what are those 3 pages? Where are they in the book? Which pages would you pick if you had to, that would grab someone the most? Because that's kind of what you want to be covering, that. What's the conflict? What are we intending to happen? And what is it that we want to see happen? Okay. So I have these samples, and you know, I cannot show one of them. There's some bad language in one of them, but I'm not sure. You know, is everybody okay?
I'm good.
I thought you might like the bad language, but I wasn't sure. I mean, but some of them, these are book trailers, and there's nothing bad in them, but you know, this one is goofy. It's okay.
Yes, go.
Okay, go ahead. You have a question there?
Yeah, how about music? Like, can you add music?
Yeah.
Be careful.
So one of the music,
Right.
well, first of all, my lawyer's not here, but I do have an entertainment lawyer, and he would say, you better be careful with any music you touch. But with that being said, there's all kinds of sites that you can just buy assets on that are really, license-free. Some of them are really
And some
inexpensive.
generic that are copyright free, right?
Yeah.
Like just a saxophone playing or
Yeah,
or
there's
something
one
of
called
that
like
nature.
Envato, which is really cheap. I think you pay $10, $20 a year. And it has video, audio, sound effects, like different kinds of motion graphics.
Fireplace,
Yeah.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff.
What's the name of that one?
That one's Envato. It starts with an E, E-N-V-A-T-O. And it's, I use it all the time. Like the other day, I'm doing a workshop. Because if you want to make one of these, I'm doing a filmmaker workshop here in O'Galley in 2 weeks. And I do that every year, and all the films go to the Melbourne Independent Film Festival. You guys have ever checked that out? It's really cool. It's local here at the Oaks Movie Theater.
Nice.
But I teach a group of students, and then we take the movies there. But all of the assets that they're using, pretty much, that they don't shoot, is from Envato.
And that's ENVATO.
T-O. Yes.
Do any of them want to do a trailer for my book?
Maybe. Well, I was going to say that at the end, if anyone's interested, because like I let the students each make their own movie, and I let them pick whatever that is that they want to do. But last year I was really surprised because I had a lot of young people, and I was shocked at how heavy the topics were. I really was. I mean, with bullying, abduction, like these were some of them. One little girl did the camp. She was only 7 years old. She has has an agent, and she's in an Adam Sandler movie. And she's very talented, but she's this big, and she made this movie, and I just couldn't believe it. They really took it on, but they can pick anything they want. And on the first day, I have some people coming in to discuss ideas. Jamie is one of them. Jamie Engel's coming in. She kind of helps them just get their scripts together. So, I don't know if I've never written a book, but preparation for video is key. Your films don't come together if you're not prepped. So everything needs to be planned out. But if anyone is interested in getting someone to work with them, and maybe not just at the camp, but this will be all the local filmmakers will be there. It's kind of exciting. But anyway, they used, like one of them was a little boy, and I did a little commercial that's on my website for him, and he was like, I love the film camp, and I had so much fun, and we just loaded it with all the sound effects and all. It really came out cute. I mean, you'd be surprised what you can get for free, but you do have to manage what you do touch that isn't royalty free. Because as soon as you post it, they'll just pull it down. You're not going to get any traction. And it's a waste of time, to do post-production on something that you're not going to keep. But with that being said, there are so many local artists, musicians. There's people around here that will do your soundtrack for you for free. I mean, there's people that love what they do, just like me, and I know a lot of them, and they, come together creatively to get things out. But making movies in Brevard County, we have to stick together because there's just not very many of us. So seriously.
You want me to play
Yeah,
this
let's
video?
play it. Yeah, let's play it. You want to turn the light out maybe, so they can see it a little better? Let's go for school.
Ooh, it should play.
Ready for bed now?
No. Tell me a story.
You want to hear about children? Once upon a time, on an island, on the other side of the world, there lived some very peculiar children. They all lived together in a
It was
big old
expensive.
house,
Yeah.
enchanted place where no one could find them. The sun shone every day. They were so happy.
What were they like?
Not like other people. They could do amazing things.
Like what?
Let's see here. There was a little boy who you couldn't see at all unless he was wearing clothes. And another one who could hold fire in her bare hands as if it was nothing. There was a pair of sisters who could talk to each other without ever saying a word. And a girl who could walk without her feet even touching ground. She was so light, they had to tie a string around her middle to keep her from floating away. And they were all watched over by a wise old bird.
Did they have to stay there?
Yes, they did. Because they were hiding.
Hiding from what?
great.
That was, that was a lot of money.
So this was expensive one. I
Right.
started with that one back. First of all, this movie was amazing. If you haven't seen it, the imagery in it was just, I've seen it probably 6 times. But you notice how some of the things, like they went black and white to color, they changed the sound.
There's one simple hearing hack anyone can use to improve
Hang
their
on.
hearing almost over.
Okay, I don't know about banging on your head with a spoon, that would work. Yeah, so what they did was they used a couple different styles. They went from that room with the boy, which I can say production-wise, that's a pretty easy thing to do. You have a man and a boy on a bed. And then the way that they went into the dream. So the movie is overwhelming with the imagery, but they still managed to, I think they still managed to touch upon, you know, the things with using the still pictures, which was interesting. So that's a cheaper thing to do than to shoot, you know, film. If you were just using like a picture of the little girl floating and the long line and that room with the chairs.
There, in the book, there wasn't an actual scene like that. There was like a memory of his grandfather telling him about the kids. It wasn't an actual scene like that,
So
it was a
and
good
that's
way to,
really
like,
interesting. I didn't even know
extrapolate
that.
from the book.
Yeah, because that's really interesting because then it's not even part of the book. It's like it's like a subversion, something inside of it, and it really makes it even better because it's like now you've seen this, now you can watch it, and you haven't seen any of the same imagery. Yeah.
I immediately thought of The Princess Bride.
Same, an eerie one.
You know, because so that gives you something that you say, okay, I know this situation. Old man reading to young boy kind of thing.
Yeah, and I like the way they went from the real life into the imagination and then brought us back. But like at the very end, even after they told us, you know, the name of the book, then at the bottom, you see the little boy said, "Can you tell me what happens next?" So that's what they mean by like, what are we pulling out? What is it that we want you to do next? Because
Turn the page.
yeah, turn the page.
Buy the
No,
book.
click and buy,
Buy the
right?
book.
Okay. Yeah, so in this one, they just used hints at things, but I mean, they didn't tell us the story, right? I mean, that's what I wanted to really show you with these examples is it's intriguing, but it doesn't give away anything about the book. Okay. So this one had a professional illustrator on it. And it had a lot of, so this one they used words, and I thought, you know, it's kind of interesting. You could play it whenever you're ready. The way they used you could do this with graphics, or like they did it very kind of interesting way they did it.
Before you start, 9 times backward, sideways down. Open doors you never found. Keep lights without a sound. Keep lights without a sound. Let
Just the
the
artwork,
whispers
right? Very different style.
let the light escape your throat. Circumstances open roads. Seal the spell they must be lost. Like the voices don't you till attitude or longitude. So the puzzles and the key, freedom is and then fly free. Your courage walking one shoe.
Choose the style of your video, selecting from whiteboard, blackboard, greenboard, glassboard, and for more advanced users, you can even use a green screen background. In this
It's about
example,
other voices.
Let's create a nice looking whiteboard. First, I'll add a headline.
But you can see how they just use this sort of like pleasant little song that you probably have never heard of before with this really interesting, you know, and those are the sketches from the book. And then they just just put in there some words from the book.
So what would you use on the computer to start to create them? So like,
Well, if you have the artwork from your book, you could use that.
but I mean,
What
how
platform?
platform?
What
Thank
platform?
you.
I got it.
What would I?
So for 25 years, I've been using different versions of a program called Magic, M-A-G-I-X. And it's an amateur program, but it does everything. And it's very inexpensive. So it's
Yeah.
a German company, and it's a video editing program that There's millions of them. And some
Right, and if you're not feeling like, I mean, Adobe products are what, you know, we teach with at the college. I mean, I used Final Cut Pro forever, but that's really sort of like a little beyond where, like, if you just wanted to make a movie yourselves, there's a lot of things you'd get to before that. The main part of shooting a really good movie is to know what you're shooting ahead. That's storyboard, that, you know, and I use pencils and paper still. I just like touching it, but I sketch everything out that I do. And it might just look like, you know, my students used to laugh, it might look like a stick man with a little arrow saying he's headed that way, but it tells me screen direction, it tells me what the next shot is, and how it's going to go together when I'm done.
Jessica, BookBrush, if you have a subscription to BookBrush, has like a pro feature that will do a cut.
Okay.
Canva has it now also, and if it's free, if you're uploading your own sketchwork, such as this one, then the component will be fully free, because you're uploading all of your imagery and you're not downloading or using anything that might be licensed, should you not have a monthly membership, which is $12.95. So they have a ton of templates. We're talking like Canva.com,
Okay.
like hundreds and hundreds
Really
of
easy to
templates, and you just plug and play and fix it up and do what you gotta do. And there's a ton of tutorials also. I'm sure BookBrush has it as well. So if you're not sure, just go into a tutorial and you'll be taught everything you need to know.
You know, and sometimes what you can do, if you know your material, you know, you're in a different position than a typical filmmaker, because they would be starting with the script. Like, you guys have a book, so you're picking those. Let's just say if I gave you an exercise and said, give me 10 images that you think capture your book. This is just a game. We can't play this right now, but you could imagine. 10 images. And then take those 10 images on little index cards and move them around. This one there, that one there. And after you did that, you would realize there's so many different ways to say what you want to say with the same 10 images. So it's a question of, do you want to grab them at the beginning? Do you want to lead them into the end? Do you want to, like this last, the children, they contrasted the reality and the imagination. You know, you're picking what you can do, but imagine that it's that really that interesting to change the images. You can really just change the whole trailer with the same things. We're ready for another one. Okay. Let's get one. Yeah, I think we went backwards. Okay. There we go. So this one, okay, yeah, this crazy and fun. Okay, this one's kind of fun. This is the one that has the bad language.
Secret line. These tips are not intended for the blind in general, but for those who attempt to hide their failing vision. A course of action which is risky, humiliating, and in most cases, totally unnecessary. Trust me, I've been there. Mood lighting. When attempting a scene of seduction, create ambiance and prevent accidents with mood lighting. Candles are the obvious choice, but not recommended, as you may set the room ablaze simply untended. Consider a lava lamp instead. Keeping up with toddlers. Confining your timer until such time as they develop impulse control is the safest option, but sadly frowned upon. Instead, use audible clues to locate your child. Bell collars will earn you a visit from Child Protective Services, but bell banglets are rather chic in a moving way. Squeaky sneakers, aka squeakers, are also socially accepted, though side effects do include parental insanity. Slicing vegetables. Bear in mind that amputating a finger is not only painful, it can attract unwanted attention. To avoid such sticky situations, gather together your knives, along with your firearms, chainsaws, and salmon to donate to charity. Then stock your freezer with pre-sliced vegetables. Some flavor is sacrificed, but experts agree the finger is worth it. Good luck, you'll need it.
A good way they did this, where they took quotes of people that talked about the book. You know, I should raise them up here because you know, you're still reading. That's her style of the book is the trailer. So I mean, you couldn't use that style with the series book, but it's for sure that if you were to watch that trailer and you laughed, you probably would know that you'd like to read the book, right? So it still keeps the theme and the entertainment level the same, but these things, you know, animation, clip art and things are a lot easier to do, because you can control all the aspects. You don't need to go find a location and people and actors and all that, you know. So the animation's certainly an easy way to go. And that was just clip stuff. That wasn't difficult. Okay. Yeah, this is the one where he was talking about as well.
Hi, I'm Teddy Wayne, author of the love song Johnny Valentine. The protagonist of my novel is an 11-year-old manufactured pop star. Yet Johnny is trapped within his powerful marketing machine, forced to do every time he's telling to sell concert seats and new merchandise. Right, the hat is absurd. Whether it's staging a fake relationship with another celebrity or reciting scripted patter. No, I told you guys I don't want to do this. Johnny begins to recognize he's little more than a product, a disposable artistic commodity, packaged by his label, only to gratify
on the
consumers.
shelf.
It's sort of like if Johnny were, say, an author, you have to do one of those internet videos in which the writer speaks directly to the camera about his book. Maybe some inoffensive music would play in the background as he outlines the story and its themes and its inspiration. And you imagine James Joyce prostrating himself. Johnny's thinking about all his friends who went to law school, who just sold out immediately, because they're smart about it. And now they have like stable salaries and 401ks, and he doesn't even know what a 401k is. Like, why does it have those parentheses around the K? But no, he had to be an artist and create. And now Johnny's got no health insurance. I gotta go. I'm really sorry. I gotta go, guys.
Well, you can see, that did not cost very much money. It was just the guy sitting somewhere. But you got a sense of who he is, right?
Yes.
This is plus $74.99 shipping and handling.
But it's a simple way, but I think humor is a really great way. I mean, sometimes you're writing about something that's too serious that you can't put humor in it. But if your book has humor in it, I think people really respond to it because we all need to lighten up and laugh a little bit, you know. When we see something, I thought that was funny. Okay, so again, he's really endorsing the book. This one, yeah, this is the, yeah, you can try that one. So this one kind of uses, you know, Polaroid snapshots. I just thought it was fascinating the way you did this one. Creepy, right? Very, very inexpensive.
Yeah.
Scary, right?
Yeah.
Not scared?
Yep.
But again, I really do like when they use the quote smart people when they felt that book.
These are ones that you've made?
No, I did not make that.
Oh.
These are examples of different ways that they put book trailers together.
Okay, thank
No,
you.
I did not. to this moment, I've never done a horror, anything horror, in 30 years. But I mean, I actually thought that they did a good job with that.
Oh, yeah.
What do we have? I mean, what are the production elements? We had some Polaroid snapshots, a light, a door lock. I mean, these things are basic. But what I was trying to do is help you to see that simple imagery placed together in a well thought out storyboard will do just as much as a big scene and a lot of people and spending a lot of money. It's really, it's all about what it is, what is the book about, and what you think the most exciting, you know, the conflict and the characters. What is it that makes your book different? Why do people want to read this one and not another one? Those images, if you could just be thinking about it, you know, and just now after this meeting, you know, think about what 10 images do you think would say that? And if you put them together, and would people, would you be telling the whole story? Which shots should you leave out because you want them to read the book itself? But I think that grabbing, attention grabbing and humor and simple things like, I mean, the pictures was just, that was all done in post-production, so that's just somebody, you know, with a card. I mean, you can type anything you wanted in there. So, and, you know, and also what really works sometimes is the lack of images. You know, when I was teaching, I used to tell students, you know, it doesn't mean to fill the screen all the time. If your book is about finding something, or, you know, it's deeper than that, you don't have to, you can have a plain screen and just put one thing there. Because the whole idea is, it's like you're painting a picture, it's moving. You know, each thing that you put there should have a reason, and it should be related to the story and not tell too much. Does anybody have any questions so far? Yeah.
So my problem with this is, now we know as authors that every year there's over 1 million ISBN numbers issued, so our books get completely diluted.
Million?
Do you know how many YouTube videos get posted every day? 3.7 million. Which means that that's 1.3 billion a year. And I look at mine, because mine don't look like that, believe me. So I know why nobody's watching, but nobody's watching.
Nobody's watching them?
Nobody can find them, because I don't know how to get people to watch them. With 1.3 billion videos a year.
That's partly self-marketing, like you would post your own trailer on your Facebook, on your,
and I do
on
that.
all of those.
I do that, so that 40 people.
But I hear what you're saying, that you're trying to drive traffic to the site.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
But like this woman that I'm helping, her publisher told her that they would take the book, but they wanted the trailer for their site. So when
Yeah.
people were looking, they would be able to say.
Well, I noticed that some of those were Simon and Schuster, and
Yeah,
so, though they got their audience, they have their audience,
Right.
Me, I ain't got none.
Can you put it on TikTok?
I do,
Yeah,
I
you
do,
can.
I do.
Book top,
I
like they
do.
call it.
Yeah.
I do, that's what I've been doing lately.
And nobody's watching?
No.
You need to put them on Instagram Reels
Yeah, I do that too. I do that too.
YouTube Shorts.
And use your hashtags on those.
The book things we've been talking about.
Yeah, use your hashtags.
And
Yeah.
sometimes,
Make
like,
a new video that's called Nobody's Watching.
I will do
well,
that.
I was
You're
gonna
right.
suggest something like that. Like, let's just say you had, a 45-second piece, right? And nobody's watching.
Yeah.
You could take it, repurpose it, put yourself or somebody else wonderful in front of it and say, hey, I'm gonna show you this trailer, and only 6 people have seen it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm saying, like, you can repurpose things and change the way that they're being presented and use the same thing.
Yeah.
Not to make another one, but like, somebody can be sitting watching TV and it's your trailer, and then all of a sudden they start talking about it, like some way to still use the materials. It takes a lot of work. Did you shoot yours, or did you have someone?
I've been goofing around with video for 30 years, so I like to do it. And it's way more fun to do that than write.
I'm gonna agree with you on
That's
that. But what happens sometimes is, I would guess, in writing also, you can go anywhere. So it's like anything. So having focus is really the key to, when you have a book you're trying to present, you just want to pull out the very minimal, most interesting things to put into this trailer. Not the storyline, and not even the characters, the period, the time. You don't need all of that. You just need to know, why would people be interested in this particular story, and how can I say that in a series of shots that's not too complicated. And that's what I was trying to give you here with these examples, was how do people use that creativity and not a huge budget. The first one was very expensive, I'm guessing that was probably $100,000 piece. But again, Brevard County, something you might not know, there's no cost for a film permit here, so if you want to go shoot something, they let you pretty much shoot anywhere you want, do anything you want. I mean, it's completely opposite of Los Angeles, but you can, you could go, I've done a lot of shooting at Wickham Park, around town and Parks and Rec, like anything that you want to do, getting to go to the museum or restaurants. People let me shoot, they never charge me either. I just go in and say, I want to shoot in the morning at this table here, and I worked at FIT for a long time doing training and education courses there in video, and a lot of our stuff, we just went all over town, and they allowed us to shoot stuff for people with disabilities, and the train, the bus, all of it is all, really anything that you can come up with. And I'm going to make sure that you guys know my card is up here. If you have any ideas or you're looking for something, I'm a really great resource because I might be able to just send you to someone that has something if I don't have it. I'm certainly open to doing video for you guys, but if you just need some suggestions, hey, I was thinking about doing this, or how do you think that would work, you can all contact me after this. And I may actually just join the group.
We'd love to have you, that's for sure.
Thank you. I mean, it's the different side of it. I've taken the script and run with it. That's been my whole career. It's been that, that's why Jamie and I are such good friends.
Right.
Jamie wrote the script for me. That's how we met. And I think that there's a real art to that. I don't think that I could learn to be, I haven't spent the last 30 years doing that. However, I have been creating digital media, and I can tell you that, things don't have to be complicated and expensive. They can be very effective, like some of these trailers here, and not be that expensive.
So like to start off, like you said, if you wanted to dabble, say on Canva or one of these free things, take your best 3 pages or 10 and get them into 10 images, play around with them and start with that.
I think it's a good way to start. And then asking yourself, like, if let's just say, for instance, it's horror, what is it about being scared, or what is about the horror? I mean, you want people to be afraid, is it suspense, is it slasher? Because you can say things differently with different images. Just seeing somebody's hand gripping a knife or a lead pipe, with intensity, tells you something. I mean, you don't have to see anybody get hit with it. You just...
It's like Jaws. I mean, what happened with
It's
Jaws?
funny, we were just talking about Jaws. So Jaws was terrifying.
Genius, right.
Well, because we had not been exposed to that kind of scary stuff back in the 70s. But I remember being terrifying. And I was just talking to someone about I used to work at Universal out in California, and every time I would go to work, the shark is still there on the back lot. He would come up. And I was telling my friend the other day, it was really fun to go to work because you drive over the bridge, and he would pop up and say hi to you every morning. But we didn't have the ride in California, you had the ride here. But Jaws was done with the idea that, like, it's old film concept, that put things together and let the audience come up with the meaning. I mean, old films, that's what they did. I mean, silent film, that's all they did. Nobody told you why you cared. You just came up with it on your own because you saw these images together. And in my opinion, I know I'm old school, but I think that's still good storytelling.
Yeah.
Is giving us things that we create the meaning. Why do I care? I care because I'm scared for this person. You put yourself in the character's position. And I hope, just seeing these, you understand that it doesn't take a lot to do it. Just thought, how can I say this simply? And I had a teacher years ago at UCLA, and he used to say, it's gotta be simple to be good. If you're talking about how it has to be this and that, and then the dolly shot, and then the crane's gonna come in, it's like, you've lost the point of what it is. This is a shot, and it's in a series, and they're all just as important, because it's the bringing them together that makes the meaning. Yeah?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I think I have one more thing about, did I lose my clicker?
I don't know where you went.
You went to the little boy's room.
Okay.
Anyway, at the end, of it, and I just wanted to tell you was, what you just brought up, was that, what do you do with this? So, you know, you have social media, getting it out there is the tricky part. Of course, if you're on, you know, you have a big publisher and they have a site, and people are cruising on there, that's gonna make it easy. But I think, this is just a suggestion, I think her name was Corey, she left.
Yeah.
But one of the things that you can do to create exposure and buzz and excitement is to take something like this and submit it to film festivals. It doesn't matter that it's a book trailer. There's no rules here. You can do whatever you want. A film festival entry is a film that's short. That's it.